This time on the show, local and remote forwarding with SSH, persistent connections in Linux with AutoSSH, Windows tunnels that don't quit with a GUI front end for Plink, and a whole lot of technolust. All that and more this time on Hak5. This segment of Hak5 is brought to you by IdeaPaint.
Hello and welcome to Hak5. My name is Darren Kitchen.
I'm Shannon Morse.
It's your weekly dose of technolust.
Yatta!
We got a great show this week. I'm super stoked.
We do. Yeah, I'm actually stoked too, even though I'm starving.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get through it. There's quite a bit of meaty
chicken.
technolust stuff here. And it could be fried chicken. I don't know.
Fried chicken. Fried technolust.
We are all recovered from our 11/11 hangover.
Dude, that was awesome. I'm glad we took the next day off.
Yeah?
And just so you guys know, no, I'm not getting a new co-host.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That was awesome.
You know
Check
what?
the Twitters.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Paul, you got to throw in some of the, what was the name of the SSH Into My Heart?
Oh, yeah, that was good times. You know, like, we'll hear about more of that from DEF CON, you know. Just so happens somebody recorded it. I mean,
yeah.
You know, things happen.
Roll it. But no, I think that's kind of apt too, that we've been talking about SSH this time, and now you're like doing the thing.
When we were writing the song, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get this. This is awesome. All right. Yeah,
nice.
So it worked out pretty well.
Well, that's what we're talking about today, some more SSH goodness. I figure we'll do a couple of things. First of all, we've been talking about local and remote forwarding in the sense that, like, following up on last week's discussion where we took two devices that were on completely disparate networks, the Wi-Fi Pineapple somewhere in the cloud with its own 3G dongle.
Right, yeah. And
then your laptop, I don't know, coffee shop, wherever you get online. And then in between, bouncing through the relay.Wi-Fi Pineapple.
Yep.
And we were able to achieve that with a little bit of local forwarding, and it was pretty cool.
It was awesome, yeah.
But I figured
you could get through those firewalls.
We should probably really break down, because we talked about like the different channels and whatnot in SSH a couple episodes back, but we haven't really done a good example of both local and remote in kind of a practical sense.
That's true, we haven't. So how do you do it?
Well, I figured why don't we go ahead and do both the theory and the practical at the same time, because it'll really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
All right, so in this scenario...
Show me, sir.
Aha.
Professor Kitchen.
No, please don't. No, not doing that.
You need to wear your Indiana Jones hat. Professor Kitchen.
I think it's in the kitchen.
I was joking.
It's in the office.
It's in my office. All right, well, anyway. So we got my laptop here. And over here we have just a regular old server.
Is it an evil server?
It could be. Here we go.
Nice.
Yeah, now it's an evil server. And so in this example, what we're going to be doing is talking about doing a remote forward. And so here's our example. I've got an Apache server running over here.
Okay.
And so that is running on port 80 on my laptop. In fact, I haven't actually set that up yet, so let me just show you. Sudo apt get install Apache 2, and then we say yes, and then that starts doing its thing.
Okay, so you have this thing installed.
So Apache is a web server, and so that's going to let me like make some web pages, put them up on my local machine, and now...
Is this how you share the stuff for the Pineapple with the developers?
It's one of the ways.
Okay.
So this is actually a good example of how, say, I'm doing some development on some web stuff here. And I want to be able to share it with my friends, but I don't want to put it up on the server. And so normally, say, you know, if we have one of these in place...
A firewall!
Firewall!
No.
Oh no, it's all
you can get out, but no one can get in.
Yes, exactly. So typically
like
what we would do is we would do a little port forwarding action so that we're opening up our firewall into our machine. And I don't want to do that.
Yes.
What I would rather do in this case is, since as we've been thinking with portals, we have these awesome SSH tunnels set up between...
Shell goes in, shell goes out.
Exactly. What we're going to do is set it up so that we do a remote forward. So in the case of a remote forward, let me show you, for example, here, that now that I have my SSH server set up, or my Apache server set up, if I pull up my browser, I can go to http://localhost. And you can say, it just says it works, right?
Yeah.
And that's the default page. It's like, hooray, everything is happy. So that was fun. And now what I want to do is take that and allow people to access the Apache server running on my system, going through this tunnel and coming out the other end on our server here.
Okay.
So we've already installed Apache, and now the next thing to do is to go ahead and set up our SSH. All right. So in order to do that, put my command prompt here, we're going to go ahead and create a relay. So we'll do SSH TAC capital R, and then port 8080. Here, let me also put it out here. So SSH TAC capital R 8080 colon localhost colon 80, and then our regular user at host. So
TACR for remote, 8080 is the server, the evil server.
Yep.
And then 80 is the Apache server. User at host is the sign-on to get onto this remote
Yes, it is.
server over here.
And so just as I've done before, and there we go. So now I've logged in, and so with the TAC-R option, what I'm doing is I'm saying anything destined to port 8080 over here is going to go this way through our tunnel. In fact, our tunnel actually extends through here over to port 80 on this machine, which is in fact our Apache server. And so that means if I pull up the browser and go to relay.wifipineapple.com :8080, there we go. It says it works.
Ah, nice. Okay.
And the beautiful thing about this is basically we're able to take any service that is running locally, right? This doesn't have to be an Apache server. We could be running an Unreal Tournament server.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah, and this way I don't have to give up the IP address of what's going on over here. As far as anybody's concerned, they're connecting to this server over here. They don't see.
They just get forwarded
Yes.
over here. Now, why is it called remote as opposed to, what's the other one? Local?
Yeah. And
What's the difference there?
You would think that it's a local forward in that I'm taking a local service here and I'm pushing it to the remote
Yeah.
service.
It's kind of backwards.
Well, it kind of seems that way. Let me explain how the local one works, and then it's going to make a lot more sense. So a local forward works very similarly. We're going to go ahead and use VNC as an example.
Okay.
And so I will come over to my machine, and before I was hosting a server, in this case Apache, and using a remote forward to put it out on the internet. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and exit. I will set up a client. So sudo apt-get install tac-y VNC viewer. So VNC, pretty cool service for doing remote desktop kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's also, we can touch into like X11 forwarding later, but essentially what it's going to allow us to do is get to the GUI, the fun little desktop that's happening over here. And so what I'm going to want to do is, I've already got my VNC server installed, and similarly to this setup over here, I've got my laptop, okay, and I have VNC, this application, running on my laptop. And then over here, our server, we'll make it evil.
Yes. The evil server.
It is running a VNC server.
And you're doing a client?
Yeah, so I got the client over here. So it's actually running its VNC server on 5901. That's the port number.
Okay.
Right? So what this means is that I could very easily go ahead and just type in VNC viewer to, in this case, my host is RRS 5204 q6n.hak5.org:1. And so when I do that, it's going to say, hey, you know, we're connecting to your tight VNC server. What's the password? I give it the password. And there we go. And I'm connected, and you can see, hooray, we're logged into a Debian server here, and everything looks good, right? Well, what I did there, though, was I said, yeah, take my laptop and go straight over to that 5901, the VNC server on this
That doesn't sound
machine.
very secure.
No, it's not. So what we can do is when we set up, again, our tunnel, what we'll do is a local forward. So let me close this, okay, and we'll create another SSH connection. So in this case, it's SSH TAC capital L, and then we're going to do...
L for local.
For local.
Okay.
Yep. We're going to do 5901 colon localhost colon 5901, and then user at our host. Okay.
So in this case, are both 5901s connected to the evil server, VNC server over here?
What I'm doing is I'm taking the 5901 that's over here, and I'm mapping it with this through the tunnel to 5901 on my machine.
Okay.
So here, let's finish this command here. Argwolf at, and in this case it is RRS 5204 Q6N .hak5.org. And I haven't set up my keys for this, but there we go. Or actually I had it, just didn't have it in my known host. All right, so I'm connected to that machine, and with that TAC-L, with that local forward, what's happening now is I now have port 5901 listening on my machine. Oh. So instead of taking my VNC client and just telling it, hey, connect to this server over here, I say connect locally to 5901. And what happens in this case is it says, oh yeah, 5901, that is over here with the orange marker, and it goes in this direction all the way over to our server, which is running, and it's through the tunnel to
this is
the local
very
machine
similar to what I did the very first week that we talked about proxies, when I was connecting through PuTTY with Firefox, and I had to get through the port on my machine to go out to the server.
Yeah, and in that case, what you were doing was SSH TAC capital D.
Dynamic, yeah.
And your dynamic host, and you set it up for 8080 because that's the port that we abuse for everything.
Of course.
And so when you did that to the server, what it created was port 8080 listening on your machine that, again, goes through. The difference being, this one right here is saying, hey, locally forward 5901, 5901, right? So 5901 on the server to 5901 on my client now have that relationship. It doesn't have a relationship to anywhere.
To everything.
And just like this is saying, hey, 80 on my desktop, yeah, listen to 8080 on the server. And so anything going to 8080 on the server from our cloud here, so we've got the cloud, and then somebody comes in.
So anybody can connect to that, and they will in turn
end up over here.
Get over here. Awesome.
And so this TAC-D, what that means is that dynamic, you're saying locally on port 8080, allow me to go to star.
Go to anywhere.
Allow me to go anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of the star levels in Super Mario Bros.
Yes.
Those are fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so there you go. There's two prime examples of using a remote forward to share a service that you're running on your machine through the net. You know, you could be running like a Minecraft server on your laptop and then have it relay through the cloud through, like in our case, we use a VPS or a couple of them from domain.com. Or in this case, saying, hey, I've got a service that's running on this machine, and I want to be able to connect to it locally so that it goes through my, my tunnel here as a local forward.
Cool.
And that's pretty much how that works.
Awesome.
Yes. And
very good way to explain it.
Thank you. Well, in just a bit, what we're going to be doing is showing you guys how to set this up so that it doesn't fail. And that is to say, so that it'll restart whenever it does crash. Because
Do you mean persistence?
Yeah, persistence, because things inevitably do crash. Oh, I guess I didn't show that now that I've got this session over here connected through 5901, that I can do VNC viewer, and then I say localhost : 1. And again, just like before, it connects me. And you'll notice it's a lot slower, but it's secure. I mean, there's overhead of the SSH protocol, but it's secure in this sense. In fact, I actually need to go back now into my configuration and set it so that you can't actually do it that way.
Oh, yeah.
That you could only do it on this.
Never make that accident.
Yeah, and that would be by saying, hey, server guy over here, only listen on low or local.
Ah, smart.
And so,
cool.
Yeah, and that's where this comes into play, the local host. Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Darren. That was
no problem.
very interesting. Stay tuned because coming up, Darren, you're going to be setting up persistent SSH in Linux.
Yeah, and then I hear
Awesome.
you're going to be doing it in Windows.
Yeah, I am.
All right, let's take a quick break. IdeaPaint transforms virtually anything you can paint into a high-performance dry erase service that erases cleanly every time, just like our very own Hak5 table right here. Look, it's the cloud. And get this, with IdeaPaint, you're empowered, just like we are, to collaborate, to interact, and to fully explore your creativity, and in our case, our technical wit. Get that. So no matter where you use IdeaPaint, big ideas are sure to follow, and it's one of the most flexible, durable, and cost-effective dry erase solutions on the market. So go ahead and head over to ideapaint.com/Hak5 and learn more.